Can't hear him though.
Welcome to the May 22nd meeting of the Rotary Club of Jamestown. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, singing our national anthem, and repeating the four-way test. I pledge allegiance
To the flag, United States.
Let's repeat the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And Lee Magnuson, are you here? Well, I'll give the invocation then today. We give thanks for being here today to be able to serve the community and each other together. We give thanks for the sun being out and being a fellow Rotarians. So let's continue our service to the community, and amen. Ruth Lundeen to announce our visiting Rotarians and guests.
Very good. Thank you, John. We have a visiting Rotarian today, Michael Mayott. There, he's from Billings, Montana, when he's not from Jamestown, New York. He is the immediate past governor of District 5390 past there. So welcome, welcome. And then Jennifer Harper is again this week a guest of her husband, George, and is considering joining us as a member.
And I'd like to invite Kris Maggio up to talk to us a little bit about Babe Ruth World Series. Kris Maggio.
Got to use the mic. Okay. My name is Kris Maggio. I am the finance director of the Babe Ruth World Series Committee. And we are hosting, oh, I forget which number. We're on a pretty big number, 25 possibly. World Series held here in Jamestown, New York. The dates for this World Series are August 12th through the 19th. But the reason I'm here today is to give you an opportunity. We have 2 international teams playing in our World Series this year. We'll have a total of 12 teams, 10 of them, 8 of them from all over the United States. Last World Series, we had a team from Hawaii, teams from Alabama, Florida, and Idaho. This year, we will have 2 international teams. It's the first time Jamestown has hosted 2 international teams. Those teams will be from Aruba and from China. Part of the deal with the team from China, China is affiliated with Major League Baseball. They have a whole program that they do over there that Major League Baseball does in China. And these kids are part of this group over there, and they train in a facility over there. And then Major League Baseball gets Babe Ruth Baseball to bring over these international teams. But part of the stipulation of having these of this team, the team from China, is we have to house them in homes, which is something that Babe Ruth has done for many, many years. They just stopped doing it for many different reasons. A lot of them are the parents didn't want their kids staying with families that they didn't know in a area that they're not familiar with. But this year we get the great opportunity to host 15 young boys from China. The ages are between 13 and 15 years old. They would be housed approximately 2 kids up to 3 kids in a household. But I wanted to bring it to our great international givers and see if anybody would be interested in doing that, or even becoming a part of the Babe Ruth World Series itself, just by coming down and to the games and cheering those games on. I've housed kids for the Babe Ruth World Series 4 different times. Emily Kama sitting out here has housed kids 2 different times with our groups, and it's just such a fantastic, I mean, anybody that's housed kids has always had such a great experience with them. I'm still in contact with a lot of our kids. They're getting married, they're having their own kids at this point. So I just wanted to take a couple minutes out of your lunch today and just tell you about that opportunity. And if anybody's interested, get a hold of me. You can get a hold of me through Tori or Emily, or even the president of the Babe Ruth World Series, who's sitting over there, Russ Dietrich. So thank you for the opportunity. Does anybody have any questions? So I believe it would start, I believe the team from China is coming in August 10th, and then they would definitely be gone about the 19th. Okay, it wouldn't go much longer than that. Okay. Other questions? Meals would be provided in the homes, but as the Babe Ruth World Series, we've always, when we had host families, we've always provided some form of assistance in that respect, whether it be gift card to Wegmans or Farm Fresh or something like that. So to help provide some of that stuff, we usually get donations for laundry soap and things along those lines too. So there would be some assistance involved with it. Transportation to and from practices and games. Okay. Did I answer your question? Okay. Other questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kris. And just, I want to give a quick update on Zoom meetings. I know as a club, we've had a lot of ongoing going back and forth on Zoom meetings and hybrid meetings. So we had a lengthy discussion this past Friday at our board meeting, and we agreed that we're going to continue to provide a hybrid Zoom option to attend our meetings. But a couple points here. We do want to emphasize that in-person attendance is preferred, as the Rotary bonds of friendship and community are really formed when meeting in person. Rotary was founded on fellowship, which is a cornerstone of our club. That continues to attract new members and provide us weekly camaraderie and engagement. And that is difficult to make that same kind of connection over the computer. Some of the reasons we want to continue the Zoom hybrid meetings, though, are that it's strongly supported and encouraged by Rotary International. Some of our members wouldn't be able to continue to participate if we didn't have Zoom as an option. They are a nice option for our snowbirds when they go south in the winter. How else will we know if Greg's drinking a Bloody Mary and full side? So it's a nice option for our snowbirds to keep them connected to the club. And it's a great option if something unexpected comes up at work and you can't make it to a meeting, but you want to Zoom in to see what's going on. And also just want to remind everybody that our real work and focus of our club comes out of the committees. So just please find a couple committees you want to be a part of and engaged in, so we continue to be involved in our club's projects. And with all that being said, we do want to ask that if you do attend bi-weekly Zoom meetings, that you pay $5 to help us financially support the club. We do pay a yearly subscription for the Zoom to be able to provide that. And we have a contract here with the DoubleTree that we have to pay. We have to pay for 30 lunches, even if we don't have 30 in attendance. So we got a lot of people on Zoom and not at the meetings, we're losing money. So we ask that you give $5 if you're online Zoom to help financially support the club. So just in closing, trying to wrap it all up, we strongly encourage in-person attendance, but we will continue to support hybrid meetings and just ask for $5 to help us support the costs online. So as always, we always welcome input, suggestions, or any alternative ideas. Please contact me or one of our board members. So that's all I got to say about that, I guess. Yes. Online, there's a link, and it's going to be, there's a link posted in the chat. So a couple updates. No meeting next week for Memorial Day. Then we're here the 6th, June 5th, and June 12th. And then no meeting June 19th for Juneteenth. And then June 26th is a recognition dinner. So winding down this Rotary year pretty quick. Ruth, do you have any announcements today?
Thank you, John. So in case you are just feeling so lonely for not having a meeting on the 29th, I want to bring to your attention that there is a Zoom meeting for Rotary Basics for new and seasoned members. I'm sorry, new and members. That will be on May 29th from 7 to 8. So if you'd like to learn more about the world of Rotary, what our organization, Rotary International, is committed to, and opportunities for service for you and your family, and also an introduction to our district 7090, which most people know is an international district. That's this coming Monday, a week from today at 7 p.m. by Zoom.
Vince Horgan, I believe you have a special announcements to make.
I just want to bring everybody's attention. A year from this past weekend in 2024, May 18th, will be our Rotary auction. And we are really excited about this. We're initially planning a Moonbrook event, a sit-down dinner, where you'll go get table sponsors and tell people to come free, but bring your checkbook. We're looking for items that are of $200 value or more. So it's not a yard sale. We don't want to do that. But we really believe it can really energize this club, bring people together, and generate a lot of money for our projects. There's been a couple of auctions we've just heard about. The Child Advocacy Program had a very successful one, and I think the Kids Zone this past weekend was extremely successful. And we just want to get this on your radar so that you are planning for this. You can't wind up with 2 weeks to go and say, oh, I got to get something. That's not going to work. People need to know in advance, and we're looking for quality items. We'll have a live auction and also a silent auction as well, a sit-down dinner, and we really think it's going to be a lot of fun. So as we turn the calendar year and get into the new president, out with the old, in with the new, we'll be looking for some leaders in this, and we really think it's going to be a great event. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince.
And an announcement of thanks and gratitude to all the ducks out here. I'm not talking about the Oregon Ducks. I'm talking about the ducks that cleaned up the Riverwalk outlet in the rain last Saturday. And thank you, thank you. It was a good job, and you did fine things. Ruth was there, Melissa, Tori, Jennifer, George, Doug, and Jane. And we had a great time, and we'll try it again next year. But thank you, everyone. Good accomplishment.
Yeah, and the AM Club was there also with five members from the AM Club. So I wanted to mention that on Thursday, this last Thursday, the Chautauqua County Coalition for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility had their quarterly meeting, and they've been having town hall meetings to hear the concerns of the marginalized community. And then they did some research based on those concerns, and they have come up with 3 areas of focus for the county to be working on. That is, and this is not in any order, but the education system, jobs, employment, and business, and community and social activities. These were the main areas of concern for those people who attended the town hall. So we began some brainstorming on how the county might address that, and through the coalition. Your Rotary is a coalition member, and I can see many ways through the vocational committee and other service possibilities that we could be involved. And I will say there were at least 4 Rotarians there in the crowd: John Felton, Kirk Young, Marion, and I. So we are looking forward to having more concrete things to bring back to the club of ways we can be of service to the county and to Jamestown. And I'm going to follow up on Vince's announcement that so our practice for the Rotary auction is coming up July 17th. It is the golf tournament. And we want the golf tournament to be something that everybody in Rotary feels they can contribute to. So we've come up with a whole list of, not only could you golf or put together a team of golfers or get a sponsor or be a sponsor, but you can also, we are putting together some raffle baskets. We are putting together some lottery, all sorts of ways. And we want all Rotarians to be invited to the meal afterwards. And so we're planning on some activities for non-Rotarians. So we're wanting each Rotarian to find a way that you can help make this the best golf tournament we've had. So a sheet is going around with all the different options. You may want to just look at them and think about them this week, and we'll bring it back next week. But then also we'll be going around the sign-up sheet for teams and the sign-up sheet for sponsors. Please take one, and if that's a way that you can help out the club. So I'll start those around. And if you want to practice for the July 17th tournament, the AM Club is having a scramble the first weekend in June, and the flyer for that is on the table. You should have seen it when you came in. If you didn't, please take a look, because they would love more people involved in their scramble.
Thank you, Ruth. Please get your tickets ready as we welcome Melissa Myers for today's 50-50. Ticket for us? $40 to the winner. Marion, congratulations. Sergeant at Arms, Doug Conrad.
Hello again. Okay. Walt had to leave, is having to leave early, so he's contributed to the pot. Sally has been very generous. Sally regularly contributes for the good of the cause. Thank you. As does Jim. So we've got a bit of a start off here. That's good. I'm looking for a couple people that I do not see, but perhaps they'll be with us next time. So that shortens things greatly. And next week we won't be here. But I trust we will be appreciating the day. And is there anyone that can tell us how Memorial Day came to be? Let's see, any volunteers out there? Stacy, you're all knowing. I think you've got some information in today's Gazette a bit. Yes, exact. And and what was it called? What was it called? What was it called? Was it called Memorial Day? Decoration Day, exactly. And then it changed to Memorial Day after World War I. And then Congress made it official 100 years later in 1971. Wow. Yeah, it takes me a while. And then they moved it. What date was it originally on? May 30th. May 30th. And then they moved it to the last Monday. And what day, since we are an international club, Sue, what day in Canada is Memorial Day? We are a joint district here. July 1. So remember that. And do we have a flower appreciation, a gardener here? Pat, you're good at gardening, I'm sure, at some point in time. Yeah. Mwah. Tell us about how poppies came into being. You know, we have the poppy sale. And tell us how that happened. Of course. Because they were the first flowers to come back in war-torn areas and devastated lands from battle. Poppies were the first to come back to repopulate the ground. Well, it was, but John McKay in May of 1915 penned a poem following up on poppies. I heard somebody say that. Was that you, Sue? In Flanders Field. So as we think about next Monday, we take time. It's a day for us to honor the deceased. Veterans Day honors all veterans, but for us to honor the deceased who served for us and enjoy next Memorial Day with appreciation. Mr. President.
Thank you, Doug. Happy Bucks. I'll get us started off. I have three. I got 2 happy bucks, one for my wife Betsy and one for fellow Rotarian Vince Horrigan, who both got elected to the Bemis Point Central School District Board of Education. So couldn't ask for a better board than that. And then I got 1 happy buck because they're supposed to set the sign cabinet this Wednesday. So keep my fingers crossed that gets set, and then they're going to hopefully get started in the city panel over the next week and a half. So hopefully everything fits together and we get the sign moving and wrapped up. So that's my 3 happy bucks.
Last Wednesday, I had the pleasure of at the Bush School. And I got there and I was assigned to Mrs. Mason. And this little student met me at the door, took my hand and took me back to her room and to Mrs. Mason. I introduced myself and Mrs. Mason introduced herself. And she said, there's something you should know, Miss Pat, before we start. And that's this group. We have talked about Rotary, probably 10, 15 minutes. I told them all about Rotary, what it does locally and nationally. So she said, you might get some questions. I said, okay, no problem. So we did the reading. And when we finished, Mrs. Mason said to me and the class, we in our family had to learn about Rotary because my grandfather insisted that we all learn about Rotary. Anybody want to take a guess as to who her grandfather was? Sam Palladino.
I just wanted to say a nice little message to DFT. I worked with you folks for 6 years and I started 6 new businesses at DFT. The first one was the satellites. And then we had the colo down here, phone systems and several more. And I'll tell you, I had a blast working at DFT. It was a outstanding business. And I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't worked with this group. And the fun part was I was there 1 month and they sent me to Las Vegas. Yeah. And they sent me to Arkansas. They sent me to Dallas. They sent me to Indiana because I was learning all of these things. And I had to come back and show the other employees how we were, you know, what to do and how I can do it and help them. And so it was really a good experience for me. Thank you, guys.
Here's a couple bucks just because it's great to be back again after spending the winter away. And every time I come here and I look at you people, I hope you all know what a special group you have here. I was talking to a seatmate named Jennifer Harper, and I found myself saying what a great club this is and why it is. And it's anything you want to make it. I mean, where are you going to find this kind of people together? We get together, we have lunch, we know each other, we get together outside of things and we raise money and we do great things for the city and for the world. And it's so flexible and so ready. And all it takes is just participation. That's all it takes. And it's just wonderful to be a part of a group like this. Thank you.
Well, I just put in 10 happy bucks for my absence, but I wanted to say I moved from the virtual present list to the in-present injured list. But I'm in present now until December, so that's great. But I wanted to say also that I flew in last week into Cleveland because the kids wanted me to come in and visit with them for a week. So all winter long, I mostly wore sandals or flip-flops. And then I put on a nice pair of leather-soled shoes and slipped on wet pavement downtown Cleveland. After coming out of the musical, I went flying. So anyway, that's what the fracture is. But it's great to see everybody. And I am so thrilled about our Babies, Books, and Bibs project. And thank you on behalf of myself and as a committee member. I know other people are much more involved, but I'm so thrilled that we were able to raise the funds that we were. Thanks again.
Just a happy buck this season. This weekend starts the 212th running of the Bemis Point Stowe Ferry. And if you have not ridden the ferry, I recommend you get on there and feel those burners, those afterburners kick in as you leave. But wonderful group of volunteers. So starts this weekend, runs Saturday and Sunday and Friday evening.
Just put in 5 happy bucks for a new family who moved into their apartment this morning, refugee family from the Congo via Tanzania, where they'd been in a refugee camp for almost 17 years. But when she walked into her apartment this morning, she broke into tears and said, bless all of you in this community for the work that we know you're all a part of. So thank you. And that's my happy buck.
So I'm putting in Happy Bucks. Should probably be part of an announcement, but everybody has on their table these placemats that have the art trail on it, which is happening this weekend. It's on Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 5. This year we have 15 stops all around the county and we have 28 artists participating. And John has pulled up our interactive map, which is on our website, which is on the map here. There's also a QR code. You can find it that way. So if you go to our interactive map, you'll see all the little pins that we have. And then you can also click on the links for each artist, and that will pull up their website with their work. So that way you know who's at each place and what kind of work that they do, and you can plan your route around the county. Also this year we have we've created a passport, which is a card that has each of the stops on it, and every hub that you go to, they'll stamp your passport. So when you're done with your passport, whether you've got 3 stamps, 10 stamps, or you filled up the whole passport, you can turn it in at the last stop you're at, and that enters you into a chance to win a gift certificate. And we have a variety of gift certificates from $25 to $100. So the more stamps you get, the higher your chances to win the bigger gift certificate. And that gift certificate is redeemable with any artist on the hub crawl. And it's pulled after Labor Day. So we run this event Memorial Day weekend and also Labor Day weekend. So if you can only get to 2 stops because you're already busy, you've already planned your weekend, hang on to this because it's the exact same stops for Labor Day weekend. And again, it's Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 5. Thank you.
I don't know what this thing is for. I never saw one of these things in my life. And many of the times when I get up at the banquet, they say, boy, I'm glad I can't hear that guy. Many things I'm very, very thankful for. I'm thankful to be a member of this organization. And I look at the card I had the other day, and it's almost dated, but it's all fluttered and worn out by sunshine. I might be the oldest by membership of a Rotarian. I don't know that yet. I have to figure that out. But if I bend over more than I should, you know why. So I'm so pleased to do that. And the thing that just was left with you with the Babe Ruth baseball about the team from China and others coming in to play in this series. We've been doing Babe Ruth series on a regular basis since 1980. And Babe Ruth Baseball International looks at Jamestown as the site to put on a World Series of whatever caliber it is and whatever range of baseball it is. And whatever, they're not always looking Babe Ruth baseball. The results of that World Series is not the team that scored the most runs and won the most games and won the championship. It's the experience that they had coming and playing. They had to play beginning at home, starting on the bottom of the ladder and climb all the way to the top to qualify to come to a World Series site. And Babe Ruth baseball is scattered across this nation, and it's even offshore now, as we're hearing. And it's a wonderful place. The other things that players are learning about that it is a game. It is a team event. I know I had a coach one time told me, Russ, you're a left-handed pitcher, but you'll remember now, you can throw any kind of pitch you got so many of them, you can throw them all. But the minute that ball leaves your hand as a pitcher, you have nothing to do with it. It's going to be the one that picks up the ground ball and throws a guy out. It's going to be the outfielder that runs the ball down and catches it. Or it's going to be the one that the umpire is on your side and he calls it strike 3. So I had nothing to do with that, but I'm a member of the team. And that's the wonderful thing. And I also had a manager tell us, remember, if they cannot score, they cannot beat you. So it becomes very important. And the other thing that they will come as they come from China, as you heard them talk, they come from around all this and bringing their young players here. And thanks to Rotary and thanks to a young man sitting right here at that table, there's a sign out in the outfield that's there for the Jammers, and it will be there for the Babe Ruth World Series because they carry all the signage over. Then they'll see the Rotary sign. It's there, and they'll know what Rotary is all about. And I'd be very, very thankful for them to do that. And they'll be able to take that home. Now, the exciting part of that, it's like school and it's like family and it's like teaching. They're learning, as we said, and they're going to be the generation in China in a very short time. That generation will be making the decisions about China and about the world and how it all goes about. And one of those is going to raise on his feet because he played center field down at this ballpark in a World Series. And he stayed with a beautiful family that showed how much they appreciated and wished that they had a good time. And he's going to make decisions in China that will affect the world. And because of you people here, it will help him affect bringing the world together and not smashing the world apart. Because he realizes it's a team affair. It's not a country, it's not all of the countries that are made, it's all of the countries that get together that make the team that we want to put together, and that's going to happen. So I'm grateful for that and happy to put $1 or $2 in. And the other wonderful thing that I have to be thankful for is thanks to my mother and thanks to my wife, June. My mother had a little thing that she had over the sink, I remember as a child. And with their going on to heaven, my mother and father, they left that behind. And June has that over the sink, my wife in the house. Well, every time, which is quite often, she says, will you please do those dishes? And I sometimes, if she said please 20 times, she will say, Russell, do those dishes. Excuse me. So then I go to the sink and there is that sign. It's so important. And it says, I hope I have the courage to change things. The serenity to know the ones I cannot. And the wisdom to know the difference. And being around you and being in this world and being the son of my mother and father and with June, I am slowly developing the wisdom. Thank you.
It is my pleasure to welcome Dan Heisenrader to introduce our speaker.
So a few weeks ago, at the beginning of the month, we had the opportunity to work with our partners at the Small Business Development Center to kick off Small Business Week and celebrate our small businesses across Chautauqua County. And we were very excited to have that event at DFT Communications up in Fredonia because it was a nice partnership with their celebration of 125 years. So today I learned that DFT Communications is almost as old as Decoration Then Memorial Day. And I'm not going to cover a lot in the intro here because I know Kris is going to tell us some about the history and about who they have been as a company and where they're going. But if you are not familiar with DFT Communications, they are located at 38 and 40 Temple Street in Fredonia, and they serve the Dunkirk, Fredonia, and Jamestown areas, as well as Buffalo and parts of Pennsylvania. DFT employs about 65 employees who are all local to our area and live, work, and participate in our communities. And with that, with us today is Kris Maytum, the Director of IT and Voice Services at DFT Communications. Kris is also a 6th generation of the Maytum family and is going to share more about DFT with us. And with Kris as well to help field some questions and answers is Rob Sherino, who is the Vice President of Network. Kris, please come up.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to thank Dan specifically and also Rotary for the invitation to speak today. 2023 here marks an important milestone in DFT's history. It's our 125th anniversary, as you heard and may have seen in the paper. That was a great write-up, and we had a great award that was given to us from the congressman. It's also a time for us to reflect as well as celebrate. And let's see if I can get the PowerPoint to behave itself. Sure. Okay, I think I've got it. I've got it now. The technical guy can't get the laptop to behave itself. So anyway, I put together a little summary here of what I'm going to talk about. As Dan said, I'm going to go over a little bit of our company and family history. I'm probably not going to give it its due. This is going to be pretty quick. just for time. I'm going to talk about my role at DFT. I'm going to really try to focus on, if I can, at the end, our technology and our services. It's constantly changing, and you're going to hear about that a little bit. And then some question and answer. And thank you right now from Rob for attending and letting me rope you into it. So as Dan said, 38 and 40 Temple Street in Fredonia is our home base. We do have a couple other offices, Cassadaga Telephone in Cassadaga, right downtown there. And right here on Fluvanna Avenue in Jamestown is another office of ours and has been for a long time. A little bit about the family history and DFT history. DFT Communications started out as Dunkirk and Fredonia Telephone Company in 1898. DFT today is a multi-service telephone company, internet service provider, and security company. We are a family of companies, we like to call it, which supply internet, phone, security, and networking services to many residential and business customers in the Chautauqua County region. We service small mom and pops all the way to large campus and enterprise customers. Dunkirk and Fredonia Telephone Company was founded by my great-grandfather, Arthur Maytum, who originally owned a grocery store on Water Street in Fredonia. Arthur had trouble once groceries would arrive at the local train station and sit too long on the platform. He had to figure out a way to get them to his store quicker, so the first telephone line was ran and installed between the grocery store and the train station. The conductor would call the store when the train had made the delivery. Son of Arthur, my great-grandfather, Robert Maytum Sr., was a man known for his strict rules, professionalism, and his philanthropy. He also was a jokester in the office and with family and friends. He taught my grandfather, Robert Jr., Uncle Mark, our CEO, Father Kurt, our CTO, and I, how to run and maintain a utility business with community-first thinking. Dunkirk and Fredonia Telephone Company continued as a family business until 1996 when it was sold to Lynch Corporation. In 2014, the Maytum family repurchased the controlling interest back of DFT. So with that said, I'll go through a couple slides here for you guys. I just thought these were really neat. And these were from our archives. I actually haven't seen some of these pictures until just the other day. This is the original Maytum grocery store here at 15 Water Street in Fredonia. Here's the inside of the store. This is Arthur, my great-great-grandfather, at his desk. We had another office location like right downtown looking into the park. So this is that office. It's actually not the grocery store. Here's some operators in our central office when they would actually physically connect you to a line. Here is when we moved into stepping switches. So this is all mechanical switches putting in, and this is one of our legendary switchmen, Arden Burnt there. Some of you may know him. We also sold phones in our office. So there you have it there. It was called the phone booth. Here's a picture of our Vice President of Operations, Dave Peel, when he worked in our Commentel business, which is our original DFT security business. DFT security was Commentel. And here's just an older bucket truck of ours. I thought this was a neat picture. It kind of had all the doors open to kind of show you all those compartments. So my role at DFT, a little bit about myself. As Dan said, I'm part of a 6th generation of Maytums that work at DFT. I started working for the company when I turned 16 in our tech support department, and that was in 2002. I worked mostly nights, weekend, and summer help. I started at the height of dial-up internet and the beginning of high-speed internet boom. Highest speed back then was around 1.5 megabits per second down. Our lowest speed package today on our fiber to the home is 100 megabits per second down. So we're basically 100 times what the highest speed was when I started. I was hired full. Oops. I think I did something. Sorry, everybody. I was hired full-time at the company after graduating from Allegheny College in Meadville, Pennsylvania in the spring of 2008. My first full-time job was working in the outside plant department as an outside plant engineer. A few years later, I was brought back in to the tech support department as the manager. And then I moved into a field tech role with our network and IT departments where I work with Rob. I'm now the director of network and IT services. My job title actually just changed recently. And I'm responsible for helping manage the day-to-day operations of the customer serving IP network, our corporate internal network, and also supporting various customer networks. And now, Dave, Now I'm going to get into some of the technology, which I think is some of the best parts here. DFT prides itself in hiring and retaining highly skilled network technicians that I have a pleasure to work with every day. Oop. Did I bump something? Okay, perfect. Over the years, we have partnered with industry leaders and vendors that have enabled us to bring advanced communication technology to our area. I think this is critical. This is so important to bring up because it's not just my family, it's not just our staff, it's those industry partners that have the equipment and the support for us that's there to help. Those vendors, which I have listed here, and this is just a very small list. I threw a couple of the big names on here, include Ribbon, Cisco, Calix, Adtran, Microsoft, Dell, Ubiquiti, Avaya, Residio, Honeywell, and many others. And probably a lot of you have these, you know, these companies, their devices in your homes and your businesses. You see them around town. This stuff runs the show. We use these partners and vendors to deploy the following services at DFT, and we still do all of these today. Traditional phone lines, which we call POTS or plain old telephone lines. Local and long distance phone, business phone systems, PBX, IPPBX, hybrid systems. I'm probably talking a bunch of gibberish for half the room. I'm sorry. Special circuits like that are both telephony and data focused, utilizing both fiber and copper. Hosted voice over IP. We have a Cisco BroadSoft platform located in our central office. T1s, PRIs, SIP trunks, managed network devices and wireless systems, points to points, point to multi-points for wireless internet access. Fiber to the premise, which is a big one now. There's a huge drive for that. We are currently in the process of fibering all of Fredonia, the village of Fredonia, and slowly but surely taking out the older technology, the DSL technology, and converting everyone over. Which that technology now has a speed of up to 1 gig up and down. So that's 1,000 megabits per second up and down. Manage Wi-Fi and home and access points, security and access systems for home and business, security camera systems for home and business. And our most recent offering that we just started deploying this past year is we have a DFTV, it's called a home or a streaming service. We have a TV streaming service. And you can think of it kind of like a cable service, but instead of coming over the wire like a traditional cable or coax does, it comes right over your internet. There's a set-top box, and we also support Amazon Fire devices and Roku devices, so streaming stick type stuff. Oh, is that better? Sorry, I was not close enough. All right. I do have to bring up one more thing here too before I show you some last few pictures. Broadband grants. This is huge. We were awarded a broadband grant, and I cannot remember the date of it. 2018. Thank you, Rob. Where we recently built 143 miles of new and upgraded fiber optic lines across towns of Arkwright, Charlotte, Chautauqua, Pomfret, Sheridan, Stockton, and also parts of the city of Dunkirk. These areas were considered underserved by New York State and really all of us at the company and probably the whole area. This build was a commitment for the New York State Broadband Program Phase 2 grant, and it was supported by 4.26 million in state funding and 1.06 million in private match funding that DFT put forward for a total broadband investment of 5.3 million. So that is huge for our area because that's places that, you know, the state saw and we saw as a company to say, these are places that are never going to get high-speed internet. We have to do something. And as you could hear with the price tag, it's really expensive to put high-speed internet to some of these places. I'll go real quick through a couple slides here, and we'll take some questions. This would function for me. Okay, so all those vendors and software company as I was talking about, this is our central office at 40 Temple Street in Fredonia today. There's a lot of wires there, a bunch of servers that Rob and I manage and control and maintain. A lot of power too this takes. Out in the field, this is what you'll see out in the field. You might not know what's actually in those boxes, but what it is a lot of the times now fiber optic equipment, and that's with the door open there. Sorry if that's a little small. And here's our guys, starting the deployment in Fredonia. On the left there, that's Jeff Novelli, one of our techs. He's starting the fiber to the home project for Fredonia. And then on the right there, that's Paul and his outside crew, Paul Solari. and he's pulling fiber right there at our office for our grant fiber. And that's it. That was quick. I hope that made sense. I'd like to take some questions now if anybody has any. Sure, I'll repeat the question. I'm sorry that I was not close enough to this before. Yeah. You're talking about a security sign? If you get in touch with us or you even stop into our Fredonia location, we can replace that for you, no problem. We have a bunch of spares, and actually they crack really bad because of the cold weather and the wind. So I know exactly what you're talking about. That's a good question. Thank you. Yep. And another thing we could do is if you give us a call, we can probably schedule a time. You could pick one right up in the Fluvanna office if you'd like to do that. We don't really have the Fluvanna office is not a walk-in office anymore. It's technically unmanned, but we do have technicians that are there quite often. We could set a time up and you could meet them there to pick one up. No problem. Anybody else? Yeah. Brag a little bit. Okay, she said brag a little bit about my grandfathers. Both of them are really great people from the standpoint of they really had a community first drive in anything they did. And I'm not just saying that, it's really true. And I always saw that growing up and knowing them, and my grandfather is still here, Robert Maytum Jr. I'm lucky to still have him here, but I knew my great grandfather, Robert Maytum Sr., for most of my life growing up until late into my teens. And, you know, it was other people in the community that would actually come up to me and tell me that and say, they really have helped us as a community because they've put themselves out there and put DFT at the time, Dunkirk and Fredonia Telephone Company, out there as a community first company. And I think that really matters. So that's how I would brag about them. No problem. Yes. Okay, the question was, are there still areas of the county that we have on the to-do list for fiber? The answer to that, the easy answer is yes. A little harder answer is it takes a lot of dollars and investment to put the fiber anywhere. We've been in touch with all different types of organizations. We've been working with the city of Dunkirk. Help me out. Yeah, we've worked with National Grid, Verizon, all different things. One thing that has become a problem for companies like us to actually get it out there, and again, I don't mean to get in the weeds too much, but pole attachments are a big deal. So going to an area where we don't own the telephone poles, there's various laws, regulations. Some companies, even not even telephone and internet companies, sometimes it's a power company. It's hard to put our wires or our fiber on their poles without huge fees, a lot of work, make ready, they call it. So yes, the answer is we are looking at other communities and areas and we're trying to work with them. But for right now, today, our main focus is really get Fredonia, our footprint done with fiber. And as you guys know, and many of you might have businesses here in this is Jamestown Rotary, so have businesses or deal with businesses here. We have fiber and have for years in most of the Jamestown corridors for businesses. We really were like one of the first, higher speed offerings that we put businesses on the fiber really before anything. There was only really coax and other copper wire. So, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kris and Rob, for coming in and speaking with us this afternoon, and congratulations on 125 years. One of Rotary's major international programs is to eradicate polio in the world. In honor and thanks to your presentation to our Rotary Club today, we'll make a donation in your name and we'll vaccinate 4 children who will never experience polio in their life. Remember this year's Rotary International theme, Imagine Rotary. Thank you, and we are adjourned.